On November 27, 1950, at the Chosin Reservoir in North Korea, a frozen battle began that would shape the Korean War and the memory of modern war for generations. It still matters because it showed how terrain, weather, logistics, and command decisions can matter as much as firepower. The battle became a test of endurance, not just combat. After World War II, Korea was divided, and the Korean War began in 1950 as rival governments fought for control of the peninsula. By late autumn, the conflict had surged far north. United Nations forces advanced toward the Yalu River, expecting the war to end quickly. Instead, Chinese forces entered the conflict in strength, changing the scale and direction of the campaign. In Washington, Tokyo, and field headquarters, commanders faced pressure to move fast and hold the initiative. In Beijing and Pyongyang, leaders saw an opportunity to stop the advance and reshape the front. At the front, the Marines, soldiers, and attached units were tired but disciplined, carrying winter gear, rifles, machine guns, mortars, and limited vehicles. Their supply lines stretched over difficult roads and narrow passes. Their opponents moved through the mountains in smaller, harder-to-detect formations, relying on surprise, concealment, and close movement at night. Both sides were shaped by exhaustion, cold, and uncertainty. The route to Chosin was long and unforgiving, with roads clinging to cliffs and valleys that could be cut off by a single landslide or ambush. Every mile forward made supply harder. By late November, temperatures plunged far below freezing, and wind turned the reservoir basin into a trap of ice and glare. Metal, fuel, and human endurance all failed faster in that cold. The terrain favored defenders and infiltrators alike. Ridgelines, narrow roads, and broken valleys created separate pockets of fighting. Visibility could vanish in minutes as clouds sank into the hills. The United Nations plan depended on pushing north and maintaining pressure, while the Chinese plan aimed to surround, disrupt, and force withdrawal. One side sought momentum, the other sought control of space and time. When the opening attacks came, they struck isolated positions first, testing lines and communications. Small gaps became serious problems as units tried to understand where the main danger was forming. At several points, the fighting split into separate local struggles around roads, hills, and supply points. Commanders had to react quickly, often with incomplete information and failing communications. The pressure point came when road access and supply depots were threatened, making every convoy and every bridge matter. Without fuel, ammunition, and medical support, even strong units could not hold long. Air support helped, but weather often limited what aircraft could do. Low clouds, mountain walls, and extreme cold reduced the margin for error and made coordination far more difficult. As the encirclement tightened, commanders ordered a breakout rather than a static defense. The decision reflected not surrender, but a calculation that movement offered the only chance of preserving the force. The breakout was slow, contested, and constantly interrupted by terrain and fire, yet it kept the force from being destroyed in place, which became the central fact of the battle. On the ground, small actions by engineers, medics, drivers, and riflemen often mattered as much as larger maneuvers. Survival depended on keeping vehicles moving and wounded men moving with them. The battle also revealed how quickly morale can change under extreme conditions. Discipline held in many places, but fear, fatigue, and cold pressed hard on every decision. For civilians nearby, the war brought displacement, shortages, and uncertainty. Villages in the region were caught between armies, with ordinary life overwhelmed by military movement. The weather became an enemy in its own right. Frozen weapons, brittle equipment, and frostbitten routines turned every task into a struggle against the environment. Chinese forces used the mountains to their advantage, appearing in unexpected places and forcing the defenders to spread out. That made the battlefield feel larger and more fragmented than a single encirclement map suggests. The defenders relied on firepower, air resupply, and stubborn local defense to keep routes open. But every success had to be repeated in harder conditions, farther from secure bases. The decisive movement was not a single dramatic charge, but the cumulative pressure that forced a withdrawal along the only usable roads. Control of the high ground and choke points dictated the pace. Some units fought rearguard actions to protect the larger withdrawal, buying time at great cost in fatigue and exposure. Their purpose was to keep the column intact long enough to escape the trap. The collapse was not total destruction, but a hard, dangerous breakout under pressure. What emerged was a force that had survived, though badly shaken and deeply altered by the experience. In the immediate aftermath, the battlefield was marked by abandoned equipment, damaged roads, and silent hills. The landscape itself seemed to record the scale of the movement and the cost of staying there. For the United Nations side, the retreat from the reservoir forced a wider rethinking of the war. Advance had to give way to consolidation, supply discipline, and a more realistic front line. For Chinese and North Korean forces, the battle proved that large-scale intervention could reverse the momentum of a powerful enemy. It also showed the limits of victory in a long and costly war. In the years that followed, Chosin became part of military study, veteran memory, and national storytelling. Different participants remembered courage, hardship, and command decisions in different ways. Historians still debate the balance between tactical success and operational setback. They also qualify older stories that simplify the battle into a single heroic narrative. The battle is often remembered through endurance, but it was also about command choices, weather, and logistics. Those factors make it one of the clearest examples of how war is shaped beyond the battlefield itself. Today, the Chosin Reservoir area is quieter, but the mountains remain severe and beautiful. The same terrain that trapped armies now frames a landscape of memory and distance. A visitor today sees a place defined by cold, height, and isolation rather than noise. That silence helps explain why the battle is remembered as much for endurance as for combat. The Battle of Chosin Reservoir endures because it compresses the central truths of war into one frozen valley: ambition, miscalculation, adaptation, and survival. Its lessons remain human, not abstract. In that sense, Chosin is not only a story of retreat or resistance. It is a reminder that history is often decided where weather, terrain, and resolve meet under impossible conditions.